What's going on, everybody? This is The Drop. Today is Friday, June 12th, 2020. I have an interview I want to bring you today. This is with Diana Burgess, who's a singer-songwriter and multi-instrumentalist from Austin, Texas. She's going to be releasing a new album called You Run. And we talked to her today, and also will be releasing the live self-titled single off the album at the end of the interview. So she's really cool. She played in a band called Mother Falcon from Austin, which many of you may have heard of. And we have a really good conversation, and I think it's pretty interesting, her background, but also the music she puts together. So I'm gonna just play that interview, and then we are going to listen to the single off the album called You Run. So here's my conversation with Diana Burgess. All right, I'm here with Diana Burgess. Hey, Diana, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for reaching out. You have a new album coming out, and after this interview, we're going to share the title track for the first time. So thanks for allowing us to do that. And tell us, what is the album called, and when will it come out?
The album's called You Run, and it's out next Friday.
Cool. Next Friday, which is the 19th of June, right?
Mhm.
Cool. Just want to make sure I knew how to. I don't really do dates anymore. So tell us quickly about your background. How do you get into music? Where are you from? What's like your journey been like so far?
Yeah, I'm from Austin, Texas. I've actually been here my whole life, here right
Cool.
now. I started playing cello at the age of 5, so it's been part of my life forever. And I went through all kinds of classical training. I got my degree in cello performance in college, and I always loved playing classical music, but I've always been much more of a playing by ear kind of musician.
Mm-hmm.
So growing up, I would be playing in bands. I would accompany my dad's Beatle cover band when I was little. And then in high school, I joined a band, Mother Falcon, out of Austin. And through that experience, I was able to, experience all different kinds of music. We got to tour around the country, experience a lot of different parts of the music industry, good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
And we're still, recording and things now. But, through that experience, working with so many people, I don't know if you know, but that band is, average of 12 members.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Tiny Desk performance is really cool.
Yeah.
I'll link to that in case people haven't seen it.
Yeah, it was a long time ago too. But yeah, but getting to work with so many people is really amazing. And I love collaborative songwriting, but I've always been writing songs myself. And this album coming out, I've actually been working on for about 5 years now. So it's kind of been just whenever I've had time between everything else. And so this year I made it more of a priority so it can actually just get out into the world.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And what did you learn about music, about like you mentioned some of the lessons, like what can you share a couple of them with us from the Mother Falcon experience, just because it seems like a pretty unique band coming from a pretty unique musical city. Just curious about some of those lessons.
Yeah, I think I have a very skewed version of touring, because traveling with that many people is really fun. It's really insane too. But it just taught me a lot about how to be an individual, even within a group of people.
Mm-hmm.
And getting to have so many experiences and opportunities thrown at you, where you weren't always in charge or in control of the situation, which is also good because you don't have to think about everything. It's not just you making all the decisions.
Yeah.
But that can get old sometimes.
Yeah, totally. And what about the music industry? Is there any bad experience that you've like learned from dealing with the music industry that you don't want to repeat for your own work?
Just definitely read every page of a record contract.
All right. That seems like good advice. So what inspired you to make your first, what I think this is your first solo album?
Mm-hmm.
What inspired you to make it?
Well, like I said, I've been working on it for a while, so I already had a chunk of songs. Um, and then 3 years ago, I had a really traumatic family situation. Within the span of 2 months, I lost three grandparents, and my dad underwent emergency quadruple bypass surgery. So it was so many things all at once.
Yeah.
And so that inspired a lot of thoughts and emotions and songs. So the album kind of became half very personal from those experiences, and then half, outside things that actually have never happened to me. I tend to write darker material. I just find it easier to write about and to express. Um, so yeah, the album's kind of a funny mix of things that have literally happened to me that are very specific, and then things that I hope I never experience.
I've got to listen to the album, and it's really cool. I think it's really unique sounding, and part of that I think is because you used tons of different layers, textures, guitars, cellos, banjos, vocals, found sounds, which I think I know what that is. Like, how do you? What's your approach to creating the songs? And do the lyrics come first, and then you kind of start with a basic layer and build on it?
Usually I would have like the main cello or guitar or banjo part and then the lyrics. And then since I'm not working with a band, I have to do all of the arrangements, all of the fleshing out myself. So I would just start playing with demos and just adding layers of cello. And honestly, once I get started adding layers of cello, it's really hard to stop. So
Yeah,
it's, yeah,
you're not working with an 8 track.
right.
What was like? And I think people will hear it on the song that we play at the end of the interview. But what what did you learn from that experience, just doing that yourself for your own songs over the course of so long?
I really enjoy the experience. Recording, I think, is more enjoyable and more rewarding for me than playing live. The interesting thing about this album is that all of the songs, for me, are a lot about the arrangement, and
Mm.
so it's hard to represent that live, which will be a challenge. But it was really nice to create tracks how I wanted to hear them with all of those layers and found sounds and things you could never really do live.
Yeah, and I have a question just about inspirations and kind of influences on you, because I hear a lot of stuff, old old bands, modern bands, but everyone hears something different. Like I feel like there was some like Beach Boys in there, along with some like modern kind of more instrumental folky stuff. I don't know. I heard a lot in there, but what was actually inspiring you when you were writing some of these songs?
Well, growing up, I pretty much exclusively listened to the Beatles.
Cool.
Yeah, so I think that's just ingrained in me.
Hmm.
As far as things I've been into, in the past few years, I absolutely love Fiona Apple. I've been listening to that new record nonstop since it came out.
Nice. Everyone loves
Um,
it.
yeah, I especially love all of the percussive things that she does, and she also does a lot of found sounds.
Yep.
Um, Also Feist, she does a lot of those kind of found sounds also. Um,
Cool.
yeah, and just other folk artists, people from Sarah Jarosz to Crooked Still to Punch Brothers.
Hmm.
Um, I love all that kind of music.
And did you listen to a lot of like Animal Collective and bands like that? Because that's like kind of the
Not
most
really.
okay. Because that's like the most out there in terms of using, sounds basically in addition to instruments. And I was curious if that had influenced you at all. What about the vocal side? You have a really great voice, and the vocal harmonies are cool. And I particularly like those songs that have the like very close vocal harmony. And I think there are a lot of bands that have done that over the years, but I'm just curious if you were trying to create that specifically and what kind of inspired you on the vocal front.
Yeah, I love singing harmony way more than lead.
Hmm.
Um, and I've gotten to be able to really hone that skill with performing with my partner Curtis McMurtry, who's also a songwriter. Um, that's kind of the first experience I had creating my own harmonies, and then when I started making these arrangements of songs, I was so excited to be able to sing with myself because I had never been able to do that before. So I could really know all of my own inflections and just be able to do whatever I wanted with that.
Is it easier or harder to do something all yourself?
Definitely easier.
It is. Okay. I mean, I could
Yeah.
see how it could be, but it also could seem like, I guess your partner, if he's a musician, probably has a little bit of, you bounce things off of him, because some people work so much better in collaboration and some people just like to work alone.
Right.
So you found it easier.
Yeah, just because your own voice has so many, kind of unintentional inflections and just things that are ingrained in you. And you don't even realize that until you're listening to your own voice back. And then you realize, oh my gosh, I took a breath in the same exact spot and I didn't even think about it. I guess
Hmm.
that's what I was meant to do.
That's cool. That's
Yeah.
really cool. And songwriting wise, there's like a really interesting variety of emotions, I think, expressed through these songs: sadness, happiness, calm, rage, confidence, vulnerability. There's like, it seems like the whole range of emotions are kind of reflected in these songs. Were you trying to bring all of those together into a cohesive piece, or is that just like the mix of things that you were writing about over the years?
I think it just happened. I wasn't really thinking about which songs belonged on the album. Honestly, it was like most of the things that were complete that were, uh, able to be on this album. So I didn't really have a choice to like pick and choose the songs.
Hmm.
But I think it happened to come together in a cohesive enough way where it was like, everything has different emotions, but they're all, I think, at the same intensity level.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I think it's very balanced, and listening to it is like a journey for sure, which I think is cool. It's a really cool album. Um, what was the hardest emotion to express, or to kind of put to song? You talked about the family stuff that you had going on. Was that easy to kind of translate into a song, or was that difficult? Sorry, those are two separate questions, but
Oh, I think that was definitely the hardest part, interpreting those family moments. And it's hard to remain truthful to your feelings about it, but not have it feel fake or cheesy,
mhm.
um, which I feel like I'm always hypersensitive to. I don't want to appear. Um, I don't know. I'm always trying to fight against the the norm. So I think that's difficult because, but also kind of beautiful in a way because everyone has those experiences, and so they'll still be relatable even if you're trying to make it unique.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Um, and I guess, are there other? Well, actually, let me ask another question first. I guess now that was this all written before the quarantine COVID crisis?
Yep.
What are these songs? Do these songs sound different to you? Does the album sound different to you now that you're in a totally different, literally like a different world than you were when you wrote them? Or just curious about your reflections on that.
um, I guess so. I haven't really had time to think about it much,
Yeah.
but yeah, it seems like just the range of emotion within the album is something that all of us are feeling probably every day now
Yeah.
instead of over a few months. Because yeah, every day just brings sadness, rage, occasional light moments within that, but it happens to be oddly reflective of the time.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I thought listening to it, and I was wondering if that was like just everything that I listen to now feels like that, from
Right.
the Beatles to things that were actually written for this. But it does feel like that is the range, which is kind of cool.
Yep.
Um, and
That's the
what else? What's that?
I guess that's the good part of
Yeah.
freelancing now.
And what else have you been working on during this time of quarantine? How have you approached it, just as a musician?
Um, I've actually mostly been busy with other things other than creating music.
Hmm.
My band Mother Falcon runs a summer camp every year that I've been very involved with. Of course, this year it's going to be all virtual
Yeah.
classes. So we've had to take a completely different approach in planning and marketing for that. So that's taken up a lot of my time. But I'm really excited about it because it'll be something totally different for us. This is actually was going to be our 9th year of summer camp. So we've had to, completely reevaluate everything that we do. So that's
Yeah.
most of my emotional and creative energy right now.
Wow. That's amazing. Well, congratulations on getting this album done and out there. I think people will be excited to hear it, and I hope people stick around to hear the title track, You Run. And we appreciate you talking to us about it and having this conversation.
Thank you so much.
You run like sand between fingers. Your voice slaps cold against my cheek. I clench my fist, ready to sweep. But I see that you're too weak. I bite back my breath. You're not worth the air. I swallow my pride like a key. I'll light the match and walk away. I'll let you burn and I'll sleep well. You think that you know me so well. We do what we must, dear. You never can tell. You reach through the insides, but that wasn't